Okay, and welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide. And today we have another show with two guests, something we've been experimenting with and trying something new. And we are meeting with David Moskowitz and Richard DiBiase. Both have their own podcast called Making Waves, the Making Waves Mindset, podcast dedicated to leaving the 9 to 5 and making waves into becoming your own boss. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Looking forward to this. We are going international once again to Canada, so we could say that's international, right? It's outside the States, so this is the
borders will be open soon,
right? Exactly. I think they are soon. I think, or maybe
they're supposed to be for driving through.
Okay.
Yeah. They were loosely open right now, one direction,
right?
But the States, I think you guys are now opening up so that we can come in driving. So that's
letting you back in. Okay,
that's it. You've let us back in. No, we don't have to jump over anything.
We love you guys. Don't get it confused. We love the Americans.
I'd be more worried about us, but anyway, that's a whole nother show. We'll do that in the evening. We'll do that with drinks tonight.
There you go.
Now, welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to it. We're as we spoke a little bit before the show, talking about journeys and leaving the 9 to 5 and kind of that journey and how fresh that journey is. But before we get into that, give us a little bit of background. Richard, if you want to kick it off, just about a little bit of background and how did you get into the business you're in right now?
Beauty. All right, we'll keep it short and sweet. So I was a police officer in Canada for 13 years, about to start 14 years. And about the last quarter of that time, I started to ask questions. I started to look at things a bit differently. One of my phrases is life is too short, don't sweat the small stuff. And it wasn't until the passing of my father at the age of 58, which was quite young, it really put things into perspective. Is this what I want to be doing for the next 35 years, waiting for a pension, relying on a paycheck every 2 weeks? Or do I want to do something where I have the true, financial freedom, or at least the opportunity where the opportunities are not limited by the glass ceiling, as Dave and I call it, because, everyone lives in that little framework. So we had some structural changes in our organization, and I just said, now's the time to move on. So my wife and I had an interest in real estate investing. And we worked really hard to create our own business where we focus really on the multifamily commercial space and residential space. And then from there, we decided that we would also acquire partners and invest in a few things ourselves. And then, of course, from that come little spinoffs. So we put that into play. And then it was February of 2021 when we decided now was the time. We had built the plan, the solid foundation, and that was our way to leave. And I decided at that point, enough was enough. Time to move on and have some excitement. It's not easy, as we know. It does take courage, and it is a challenge. And so here we are today. So Dave and I have come together where now we share our journey with listeners.
Yeah,
awesome. I appreciate that.
My story's similar in the nature of I spent the last 25 years in law enforcement. My last position was a sergeant for a special constable agency with the major transit system, and decided that throughout my career, I was always looking for change. And I think I was an entrepreneur at heart, because any organization that I decided to shift to or become an employee of, I always was looking for change within that organization and looking to improve myself and get up in terms of supervisory positions. And so I think I had it ingrained in my heart from my parents to be an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. And that just made me more driven to change. So in June of 2020, one of my good friends and I decided to open up a business in California, an electrostatic disinfecting company and air purification systems. With the heat of the moment of COVID and the pandemic, we decided to venture into that. We've now opened up in Mexico City and also an office here in Toronto, Ontario.
Oh,
so
wow.
we've expanded that office, and that's been sort of my life for about a year. In June, I was working both positions, and then June of this year, I decided to leave that position and take it full head and move forward with that business. And throughout my time in my career, me and Richard met both as social media officers and sort of doing similar not podcasting, but interacting with the public and
Right.
having our voice on media. And we decided it was time that we spread this journey to others, especially in in the emergency services field
Mm.
and various other areas where we believe that the pension is not your golden egg. Your
Mhm.
golden egg is what you make of it. And moving outside of law enforcement is probably, if that's where you want to be, then you need to make moves to do that. And spreading our journey and sharing our journey to people and trying to convince them. And we've had a lot of people reach out to us since, saying, we're very new in this industry,
Mhm.
and we're new in Canada as well. There aren't many people who have left the industries who are voicing to the public, and
Correct. Yeah.
this is what we're trying to do, is get the knowledge out to people
Mhm.
who are of like mind, and get them to understand that there's a bigger world out there. There's lots to learn. There's lots to do. And if you have that drive and if you have that motivation, we're going to be here to share our journey with you.
That's awesome. No, I appreciate that. And, before the show, we were talking about just being at different stages, and it's been about a year, just over a year for you guys and in your businesses. And I think that's crucial. It's just talking about the story and talking about just, why, just the reason for doing it. Because let's face it, having a job compared to owning a business, I jokingly say no one wants a job.
That's right.
I'm sorry. No one wants. Yeah, well, maybe that too. Actually, maybe that mistake actually worked out. Okay, so I'll start over. No one wants a job. Maybe I don't want a job, but no one wants a business per se. They need a business
Right.
to get them to the lifestyle they want. So I've only said it a million times, and I still screw that up. But talking about when people approach me and they say, I want to start a business, I go, do you know anyone that owns a business? What do you know about business ownership? It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's a lot of work. There's risk involved, and you really need to know what you're getting into and what's that motivation. Obviously, there are so many additional benefits if you can get past the first several years. So talk to us about that. So I've been in business ownership for 20 years, and we were talking, learning every single day. Once you think you have it figured out, you learn something new. So talk to us about, and this will really benefit the listener, because the listener is that corporate exec that's looking to make the transition. So talk to us about the first year. Just how was it? Was it what you expected? The stress level? Were you able to pay yourself maybe the first month or so? Talk to us a little bit about the experiences, because that's crucial, and really explain to someone what to expect.
Yeah. So one of the most interesting things, Giuseppe, is when you have the opportunity to do something yourself and see the rewards and the benefits. You're working in that corporate environment, you're working for someone else, and you're thinking of changing, and you're putting all this effort into things, and you're not seeing the reward. Once you do it on your own, it's like this bold blazing energy that comes, the constant flame lighting the fire, because you're seeing results. And to your point, yeah, it doesn't just end at 5. You are going to be working past 5. You're constantly on the go. Your phone's lighting up with things. I think it's also important to remember, you may not see your first paycheck right away. You may not see that lump sum of money show up. Just understand it's going to take time. It may take a few months, and it could even take beyond a year. But when you put your energy and effort into it, nobody's telling you how you have to do this particular task. You're going to do what is best for you,
Right.
what you know is going to work, and that is going to light the fire, because you are now working in your knowledge base and what you want to do and what you're passionate about. Dave and I have discussed, you don't have that policy and procedure manual guiding you along.
Right.
So I think at this point, yeah, just be prepared. It's not going to be an easy journey. Have a plan as you build your exit strategy. That was the biggest thing for my wife and I. We started really 3 years almost before my resignation, starting to slowly to build that foundation, which made the transition, though it was stressful, that much more seamless and comforting, knowing that, okay, now I can do things myself and I will see the benefits and the rewards and the excitement.
I like that.
I found the most stressful part at the beginning was doing both at the same time. So making those plans to eventually transition to the full-time position of
Right.
another job, but at the same time doing the education. We talk about this is whatever business that you're going to open up, you probably have to get some education behind you to open that. So for example, in my case scenario, I had to become a janitor. I had to become a certified global biorisk technician. So these are things I had to do as well as work my full-time job. So that kind of stuff, scheduling was just hectic, right? So I would work my full-time job, come home at night, and spend the nights educating myself. So that kind of stuff at the very beginning. And the paycheck thing, that's the one of the biggest things. Be prepared that you're not going to make money. Usually on an average, 3 years, right? That's what they say. First 3 years, you're probably not going to make some money. I've been fortunate enough that I've been able to give myself some money back in to the pocket, but not a substantial amount. And we're still growing as a business. And as the business grows, you could see the potential and you could see the economics of it growing. But you have to be prepared that you're potentially not going to have a paycheck for a while.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And obviously, it varies based off of industry and what business you get into. So I think just having that real conversation, and I have this with every single person I work with. Again, what's your experience? Are you comfortable with it? Maybe if it's a retail location, it may take you a year to open, and then you have to, once that's open, then you start generating revenue. Revenue does not equal profitability.
That's right.
So you need to, what's your expectation, and are you comfortable with it? Because if you are not, and the business is perfect, but you are not comfortable with waiting that long, it's not going to work. Everything needs to be kind of lined up. And I think one thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but one thing I like to stress is it's not about what's hot. There's so many hot ideas. I think more of the important thing is when you get into business, it's got to be a good match for you. I think it needs to align with what you're looking to accomplish. So if your goal is to spend more time with family and you're getting into a business, maybe that's 7 days a week, or maybe that's in the restaurant business, not to knock restaurant businesses, but they are a lot of employees, a lot of hours. Maybe that's not really aligning with your goals. And that's where you have that clash. That's where you get that burnout after the first year. So I think a lot of businesses can make money, but I think ultimately, why are you doing it? And if it's to spend time with your family and that kind of thing, I think that needs to be your driving motivator. And then which leads to a sustainable business, which leads to the money that you're looking to make. Right. So thoughts on that?
Yeah, you cannot leave your job for efforts to make money. It can't be that. That can't be your goal. Your goal cannot be to make money, because if that is your goal, you won't make money. Your goal has to be to do something. So either you're doing it for your family, like you said, you're doing it because of something you love to do. Your why. We always talk about this is what's your why? Why are you doing this? And if it's to, me personally, my personal goal is to grow businesses. And that's what I want to do. And I have multiple businesses right as of now, and I'm going to have multiple more businesses. My job is now going to be growing those businesses. And the one biggest thing I've learned throughout that is I can't be the master of all trades.
Right.
I can't do everything myself, and I need to start employing people under me and help them grow as well. And that's what I've decided to do with my career moving forward.
To Dave's point, Giuseppe, is finding a mentor. That was one of the biggest things that we did even prior to the transition, is finding somebody who has experienced this process, and they have to align with your values. I think that's the other biggest thing in the real estate investing space, which I am very certain is identical to the franchise world. You want to have a power team and people behind you who align with your values and your beliefs. You can get along and are like-minded, because you don't need to have clashes in this transition. It's going to impact your why. It's going to impact why you want to do this. It's going to add stress and anxiety. So finding those people with the right mindset, hence our show, the mindset is key, and that will help and aid you through this journey from the start. Find the why, write it down, and just relive it every day.
Yeah, I agree. It's we talk about this constantly, and finding your why, that's the motivator. Why the hell are you doing this in the first place? And I think that if it's just it's all about money, I think that's a tough one. I don't know how. I mean, some people, maybe they insist they've done well with that why, but I challenge everyone I work with and say, but what are you looking to accomplish here? And then you find that, well, it's traveling with family and soccer games and other things. So money is great, and we're not looking to run a business that's not profitable,
Of
but
course.
really what's that motivation?
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think
yeah,
the money motivation part of it should be your why, because there's a lot of ways to make money. There's a lot of ways that you can grind and work multiple hours and work overtime for
mhm,
corporations and make good money.
right.
And but if the money is just the why, I don't think you're going to succeed, in my opinion, or any mentor that I've talked to about business, who have been in business, who have made millions of dollars,
Right.
their why was never money.
Look at the time that you now gain. Dave and I have chatted. It might not be to replace that income in its entirety. That's okay. You're going to have to accept the $0 or half that. But
Mhm.
guess what you've gained? Time to be with your family, time to travel, time to be on your motorcycle, do what you want. That's the trade. It's not all about the dollars.
Mhm.
And where the industry Dave and I come from, a lot of people are just obsessed with that paycheck, and it's all about the pension, working 35 years. They just cannot grasp that there's more to life than the financial side of things. It's the freedom.
I agree with that. No, that's it. Sometimes people maybe don't understand the question, and I think I fell in that boat. And I had worked with a coach years ago, and she said, because I kept reverting to things I wanted. They were more material, and maybe I just didn't grasp the question. So she goes, okay, let's throw that aside. Let's look at it this way. If you had to rank and order why you want this business. And then she kind of gave me the most popular whys, because maybe I just wasn't getting her question. And we talked about was the time freedom to spend more time with family. And, we talked about just the freedoms of who I can work with, that's another freedom, financial freedom, the freedom of purpose, which is, by the way, a book by, or an article by Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. It's the four freedoms. It's time, financial, the freedom of purpose, and the freedom to work with the people that you want to work with. So when we started talking about that, digging a little bit deeper, we started ranking them, and then financials came at the very bottom. So sometimes some people need those options to really understand what we're trying to get to. David, to your point, this is going back to a little bit in the beginning here, but pensions, a lot of people in the US, we see less and less people, companies are moving away from that, but that seemed to be the goal, right? It was all about, let me get to retirement as fast as possible. I get my pension, and then I can relax and enjoy it. And I challenge people to that. And I had that mentality, not that I had a pension, but it was all about working my butt off until retirement.
Mhm.
So I knew what the end goal was, but I wasn't enjoying the journey in the very
Right.
beginning. And I think that's crucial. You need to enjoy it. You need to be present with your family, and just enjoy the ride, and eventually be able to retire or semi-retire, whatever your goals are. But I think that's crucial. And in the beginning, it's going to be rough. There's a lot more hours, and as you mentioned, we talked about training and getting up and running. But the first year, it gets better. I think it gets a little bit easier in certain ways, because you now understand how a business functions.
Yeah.
You understand the tax benefits of a business. Any thoughts when it comes to enjoying the journey, and not just relying on the destination?
Yeah, I would say the one biggest thing that it taught me, and I see it now in my life looking back. I
Mhm.
was not engaged enough in my family life, and that's what was causing part of my problems at work. So
Right.
because I wasn't engaged enough in my family life, I would spend more time at work and
Mhm.
spend more time, which would then put stresses on my family life. So family is like the biggest thing. The fact that I'm able to now gain back some of that and draw back on my life and actually get back into my family life, spend more time with my wife, spend more time concentrating on us rather than just get to that pension, get that overtime
Mhm.
money and build up that pension, build up that pension. Now I can build this business and I can actually incorporate my wife now into the businesses.
Right.
And I could say, you know what, we're growing this together, and we're doing this. Not that I want to work every day with my wife, but some people might want that split. But I get to see her more often now, and I get to spend more time and quality time too. And it's not just work your 12 hours, especially from the industries that we were in, law enforcement. It was,
Right.
grind. You would come home, work the 12 hours, come home dead tired, go to bed. Maybe you were working 16 hours because it was forced overtime, stuff like that. But now you get back the fruits of the labor. So now if I want to not work on a weekend, I know I'm not going to make money that weekend,
Right.
but it's my choice.
Right.
It's my choice. And I've made that choice to now put aside work and spend time with my family. And I would say that's the fruits of the labor,
Right.
being able to choose. And we've talked about this. And because I have an international business that spans across Mexico, California, and Canada, I'm able to travel now. So I can go to those places that I love.
Right.
I love California. I love Mexico. I love these places. And now I get to visit them for work.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Wow. Not that's going to be for everyone, but these are fruits of the labor, right? These are stuff that you're building, that you're going to build into your life so that you can benefit from the work you're doing. So you're going to put in the 100 hours, you will see the benefit from that 100 hours. You want to put 50 hours, you will see the benefit from 50 hours.
It's an investment, right?
It's
stop trading time for money, because that's what most with a job, you're as good as your last hour. You can obviously lose your job, right? Maybe you get a two week severance or whatever severance they give you, but you're essentially trading. You got to be there that 40 hours. It's not like you work harder so next week it's less hours, or you put systems in place in your business. You don't have to be in the office every day.
Right.
Richard, anything you'd like to add to?
Yeah. We constantly see people aspiring, as we've mentioned, for that pension, but why aren't you living now? Right? You're waiting that 35-year mark, you get it. And I hate to say it, many people in our previous line of work, they're in the obituary section not long after retirement. My dad was a school teacher for 32 years. An unexpected illness came along and he never got to enjoy retirement. So working your entire life for a pension, he loved his job, but never got to see the fruits of the labor that had to take place to get there. And I think it's important for all of our listeners to understand that change is good. And when you're in this comfortable bubble, you start to become complacent. You start not to perhaps care about things as much anymore. And to Dave's point, you now become obsessed with the 9 to 5.
Right.
You're not there for your family. You're not present right now. It's okay to feel different when you go, I need to do something. I need to learn something. And now it's that uncomfortable zone because you want to do something different. Just know that doing something different is a learning curve. There are changes. You're going to benefit from it. You're going to look back and go, wow, if I didn't make this change, I didn't take action, I would still be in that bubble waiting for 35 years, and it's a hard realization. I have also found, and I'll state this, family is important, but your family and friends are going to change. They will think you are absolutely insane for leaving your 9 to 5 corporate job. Or, if you're blessed with a pension, they'll think you're crazy, but they don't see the other side that we've all experienced here, that, well, look at all the things we're learning. We're doing things we could only have dreamed of because we were stuck to, got to get to work for 6 a.m., and not wanting to try something different in life or to travel, or, now the sky's the limit. Now the sky is the limit, and unfortunately, maybe they'll see it, but they don't see it right now.
They don't, and I don't even think they do it intentionally. I think I was reading somewhere, or maybe I was talking to someone. They said it's almost a protection mechanism, right? It's almost to protect you. Like, do you really want to start a business? You're making good money.
Yeah.
I had left Wall Street making a really good income, and you really want to start over and invest all that money you made into a business? And I said, yes, because this is what I'm looking to accomplish. I will never accomplish. I'll accomplish financially great money with the business, the companies we were with, but I'm not going to experience that time freedom, the 5-hour round trip commute. So, I think it took me a while, and not that I had family and friends that were very negative, but they were almost questioning. And what's funny is that with previous employers, my colleagues were like, are you out of your mind? You're not understanding the business. They were looking at kind of the service I was offering. So kind of to David's point, you're going to be a janitor. No, I'm building a business, but I'm learning about my business. And it's funny, a decade later, you get calls. Hey, are you still in business? Because I can use some advice. So
that's right.
It's funny because now, flash forward 10 years, they see us on social media, see us on a show, and they're like, man, like that was that David guy, that Richard guy, they're doing well for themselves. Let me check in with them. And to a previous point on mentorship, I want to bring this up, and then I want to talk about your show. But mentorship, make sure you're selective on the people you take advice from, the
100%.
people you are your mentors.
100%.
I had a gentleman contact me, and he was excited about a franchise, and then someone brought him down, and I said, well, who is not about a particular franchise, but just franchising and business ownership in general. And I said, who are you asking? And it was a family member. And I said, well, how many businesses have they owned? And they said none. So they heard from a friend of a friend of a friend. And I said, everyone has an opinion, but definitely speak with a business owner. A business owner is not going to steer you wrong. They're going to tell you, man, it was rough in the beginning, or wow, it took us this long to get up, but look what it's created. I'm a soccer coach. I'm at every game. I'm doing this. I'm on the PTO, the PTA at school. So make sure you select your mentors wisely.
Yes.
That's something I tell everyone.
Yeah.
Giuseppe, there was a point in our life, even prior to this real estate direction and investing. My wife and I were looking at a franchise. We're looking at two. And as we began the process, I started going to some of these locations and speaking with the owners to get a feel from them, not what was being sold to me by the particular head office or, franchise company. And not that it persuaded things, but that's a conversation for another day. You have to do your homework, and you need to look at both sides of the issue. It's not going to be, what's black and white in a textbook. You need to get a feel for things. You need to see what's happening.
Yeah. And that's to touch on your point about mentors, that is a main thing. I have multiple mentors in my life, and it's from different aspects of my life. So there's people who I can call on, who I know have an amazing track record with business, who are financial geniuses, stuff like that, who I call on as mentors in different aspects of my life. But having someone who, if someone turned to us and said, "Can you be my business mentor?" No, I can't be your business mentor. Why? Because I'm not a business mentor yet. I'm going to be one day. But if you want to listen to our journey, come along, listen to our journey, and you'll learn some lessons. But as a mentor, you need to find someone who's a proven track record, someone who's been in the industry, who's had the lessons learned already, who has been steps ahead of you. And those are the people that are going to give you the good information.
I agreed. And to add to that, and the final point on that, because someone that I am working with found a mentor, and they basically would look for someone that was successful in their community, drove the fancy car, beautiful home. And I said, okay, this person owns a business. This person is, quote unquote, successful. But you told me that you wanted, what kind of hours is he working? So we talked about, he's working been in business for 2 decades, working, 100 hours a week, still continuing to work those hours. And I go, that's great. He's making a lot of money. Most businesses, there's a high percentage, they go out of business the first year, but he's not really that person that really aligned with, who you're looking for to look up to. You're looking for that person that has a successful business, that has that proven track record, but is not killing himself working 100 hours a week. This whole notion of, and I'm sorry, maybe because of where I'm at in my life, in my career, the grind, the this or that, that's, to me, I don't envy that at all. That's not someone I look up to. I don't like to talk about grinding it out, maybe the first few years, but if you're two decades in and you're constantly grinding and, what they talk about to get through in business, I don't envy that. I don't want that. I want a business that I could, I have family in Europe. We vacation to Europe a lot and not have to worry about the business and constantly checking email and the phone call. That grind, I think, is in the beginning, and it needs to align with what you're looking for. So find the mentor that not only is successful, but is also maybe working the hours that you're looking to work, and have that balance.
100%.
See who's at the soccer games, right? The moms, the dads, whoever's there. I as a business owner never miss a game, and I see some of the parents. Some of them have jobs that are extremely flexible, and other are business owners. Those are the people that I talk to, because we have a lot in common. We have certain priorities, and anyway, that's my
That's
we
good.
talk a lot about
It's
that.
on point.
Yeah.
No, it's
Your
on
tribe,
point.
right?
That's it. No, that's it. So let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about your show. So name of your show, when did that show start, and who do you what do you talk about? Do you have guests, or is it just you guys talking?
Yeah. So Dave and I came together. We initially, in our previous line of work, wanted to do a show, but we decided to change the direction. It was the summer of 2021. We decided we're taking action. So it's called the Making Waves Mindset Show, and the premise of the show is to make waves, and that has to do with your mindset. You need to challenge yourself. You need to think differently. You need to splash the water and make waves, because if you're in the little calm pond, nothing's going to change. And it goes back to what we spoke about earlier. If you're not asking questions and you're not getting outside of that comfortable bubble, you're not going to get anywhere. So the premise of the show is just that, the mindset, making waves. We do have a combination of guests on the show, and Dave and I also share our journey. Like we've mentioned, we're very new to the space. We want to show people it's not all Ferraris and traveling the world as what you see on social media. You need to put in the effort, and it's going to take time. So we mix a little bit of lifestyle, fitness, and we just share our journey. And this is where Dave and I, we come together, and roughly once a week, there's an episode out, sometimes twice a week. So
Awesome.
That's our show. Yeah.
And
Nothing to add to that, really.
yeah, no, that's great.
I couldn't have asked for a better co-host.
That's right.
You know?
Right. He's always agreeing with you. What's going on out there?
It's teamwork. We get along together, you know.
I was gonna say, is he in the next room? And you're kind of like, all right, you better agree with me. So no, that's awesome. I think more and more people need that. I think stories resonate with people, and as we mentioned in the beginning, and they want to know. They don't want to know the textbook. Okay, there's risk in a business, blah 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 blah. I want to hear about what you experience, and sometimes, Dave's story may resonate more than Richard's, or vice versa. But people want to hear. Maybe it's like, for example, I had someone call me that listened to my show that we're first generation in this country. English was my second language. That alone, with the corporate to business ownership, just struck a chord, and he contacted me. So, I love these types of shows and stories. And, with I just see your show growing and growing, because as you go year after year, now you're talking about, okay, it's been now year 2, and this is the experience, or maybe this is the advice, or the things I would have done differently.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that? Like that would be pretty cool. Just kind of listening into the archives and how you kind of are growing on an annual basis.
One of the main things we do when we have guests on is we always mention, we ask them lessons learned. What is the lessons learned that you've learned so far? So that, no matter where, so we've had guests who are brand new in business entrepreneurship like us, and we've also had guests who are 20 to 40 years in the entrepreneurship, and they've given us those lessons learned. The other thing we always make sure we do is that all the guests, we're going to be doing follow-up interviews with them to see where they are in their lives and the journey that we've made along the way. We always talk about, you always hear podcasts and people talking about, oh, here's what's going good in my business. Here's I've made millions of dollars in sales, and look at this and look at that. But we talk about, okay, what is going on in our businesses right now? Is it a downtime? Is it a hard time? What have you learned? What aspects do you need to take to get it better? Things like that. That's what we focus on.
I think the key message too is continuing to be organic, authentic, and ourselves. That is the biggest seller for Dave and I, because we are true, genuine people, and that's the best way. We can't sugarcoat. You should never sugarcoat. And I see the three of us together coming, on this platform because we share that value. We want to be honest and transparent about what takes place. That's the best way to grow. And we will continue to showcase those people who align, and we wish them success. And, Giuseppe, we hope to have you on our show,
awesome.
So, it would be great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking of not sugarcoating, for everyone listening in, I had black hair before I started this journey. So.
I had hair.
I was gonna say, either way, either I lose my hair or it turns white. So I'll be 43 this year, and yeah, man, I'm like, someone said to me, "Wow, you're really going white," and I said, I don't know if it's the stress. Maybe I blame it on the lighting. I got to work on the lighting here in the office. But
Giuseppe, you don't look a day over 32. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, mine's always in my chin.
Yeah, no, I have to shave it, or else, it looks. I got a lot of white here, so no, it is what it is. You look more seasoned, I guess someone said. But
that's right.
No, this show's been great. We could definitely talk for hours, and I'm looking forward to follow up. And that's actually, you just gave me actually a good idea for my show, and some of the interviews, doing a follow-up a year or two, down the road, and just said, what's changed? What advice would you give? And I think, those pieces of advice that you're not going to learn from school, or even, you may read about it online, but someone that actually took the advice, applied it, maybe made a mistake that you can sidestep and avoid. I think that's priceless. So guys, I really wanted to thank you for being on the show. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, you have the podcast, websites, or any other way people can get a hold of you if they have a question or want to connect.
Yeah, our show, makingwavesmindset.com. You can find us on Instagram at makingwaves_mindset. And then Dave and I both have our respective social media. I'm at Richard DiBiase on Instagram and TikTok.
And I'm on David A. Moskowitz on Instagram.
There you go.
That's awesome. Again, guys, I really appreciate it, and looking forward to next conversation.
Thank you so much for having us, Giuseppe. A pleasure.